up, guys? Guys, ladies, females, all of that. Good morning, good night, depending on whenever you're watching this. Sorry about the light. I am in my cab once again. I am at a TA truck stop. Just finished doing my laundry, taking a shower. Today wasn't it wasn't a bad day. At least most of it wasn't a bad day. The ending wasn't what I wanted at all. But I just, wanted to get on here, like I said, and tell y'all about what happened on my first day working for Schneider. Solo driving. So as you all, for the people that have seen my video, day one vlog, you'll get the full rundown all the way up to, I believe, when Lowe's, I was in Lowe's parking lot. Well, after I left the Lowe's parking lot, I was there for like 3 hours, maybe a little bit more. So I was running down on my 14 hours and I was freaking out. I knew I still had to go pick up, so I was in Lowe's just to pick up an empty trailer, take it to the load, because you always have to have an empty trailer. Like, you always, wherever you go on a load, 9 times out of 10, 9.99 times out of 10, you're gonna have a trailer on you. You don't bobtail many places, if at all. So I had to go get a trailer from Lowe's. Lowe's had 2 trailers. I don't know if they were broken down or a security thing, but they were holding up in line for a certain amount of time. Just long story short, of course, go watch the video if you want all the details and stuff like that. Well, I was there for about 3 or 4 hours. I finally get the trailer. Finally get that trailer, and I go to my load on the shipper. Now, the shipper at this point, it's like 9, close to 9 o'clock. It gets dark around this time of the year, around about 5:36. And the shipper is in the middle of, they're not in the middle of nowhere, but it's in the country. And it's pitch black. I got to turn on my high beams. It's pitch black. It's 2-lane roads. Very uncomfortable situation for my first day. Now, I get to the shipper. The first thing that they ask is, are you the bobtail? I'm like, in my mind, I was like, well, technically, yeah, but, I do have an empty trailer. So they weren't even expecting me to have a trailer. From what I was told by, the overnight dispatch person, because my DTL, who I would originally call, go home at 5 o'clock. So most of your DTLs go home, which is, I believe DTL stands for driver team leader, could stand for driver training lead or whatever. It's your manager, essentially. They usually go home at around 5 o'clock. So after that, you got to deal with the overnight dispatch. Now, you can call the overnight dispatch, which this particular night, I ended up calling overnight dispatch about 4 times. 4 times. But there's a couple of things, the issue with that, right? They won't call you if you're on drive time. If you're driving, they won't call you. They can see that you're driving, and they will not call you because you're not supposed to be using your phone and driving at the same time. So that makes sense, right? But if you're in need of them, there's not that many, I'm guessing, because what they'll do is the overnight dispatch operator person, it's a robot, will take your number and put you on a list to be called back, right? So you might need them immediately, but now you gotta wait. Could be out. This particular night must have been a busy night because it was like 45 minutes. They did reach back to me, but I was driving back then to Charlotte. So when I got there, when I got to pick up the load, they didn't expect me to have it empty. So I had to back this empty trailer up pitch black, mind you. And because, I don't know why, but there was a line of trucks, I guess, waiting to be either delivered or waiting for the morning. I don't know if it was overnight parking, but it was a line of trucks blocking, like they were limiting my space greatly from where I could back my empty trailer into. So much so that I had to ask one of them to spot me. And this guy, I couldn't understand. I couldn't really understand him. And I showed you the video of like me backing into it. I ended up having to do it by myself because I just couldn't understand what he was saying. So it was just pitch black. I showed you that video. After that, right? So I get that backed in, and then I go, you know, he said he told me where to back the empty trailer. Then he said, once you're done with that, go pick your paper up or your paperwork up a little ways, and it's gonna be in a black box. I go to that black box and I look through all the packets. So when you pick up a trailer, a load, you always have to have your bill of lading. So that's what I was getting, my bill of lading. And I went through all the packets there for bill of ladings, looking for my the city I was taking this load to, and I couldn't find it. And I went back and forth to my tablet, not thinking, common sense would say take your tablet with you, but you know, it was a long day. So I'm going back and forth to my tablet, checking, like, do I got the address right? Do I got the address right? What's wrong? Is something wrong? Turns out, you know, he comes about the third time, me walking back to the black box, he comes out of the building, and I ask him, I was like, or I tell him, I said, hey, my load isn't in there. It's not in that box. And he said, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm going back to Charlotte. It was a Tractor Supply. So I said, I'm going to your Charlotte Tractor Supply store. Oh, he said, oh, yeah. You're on the other lot. I was like, what other lot? And he started laughing. And at this moment, I knew, you know what I mean? Oh, at that moment, he knew he effed up. So at this moment, I knew I was effed up, because the only reason somebody laughed like that is that, you know, they're about to tell somebody some bad news, but it's funny to them, right? So this was the bad news that he thought was funny. The other lot was maybe a mile down the road. And mind you, it's still pitch black. This particular lot was just a drop lot. It was like where they put all their loaded trailers once they finished piling them with whatever. It was clay, like this clay dirt sitting in it. It was, some of it was stamped down just to hold the weight, but this was a max load. So this was like 45,000 pounds, and I was scared I was getting stuck. You know, it was snow on the ground, it was raining, and it was just bad. So I go, it wasn't snow on the ground, it was just raining, which made it even kind of worse. So I eventually just, cause I tried to call the dispatch again. They were putting me on that list, and I just go and I back in, I get the load, I got it out, and I'm driving down. I can see the message. So the tablet that I have, this tablet here that I have, excuse all the fingerprints and stuff, this tablet here, I mean, it does a lot. One of these days, maybe like in the next couple of videos, I'll explain, you know, everything that tablet does. But while I had it on GPS, I could see. First, I heard my phone ring, so I knew who it was. It was them calling me back. Then I get a message. You can't see the message, you can't hear the message, they won't read it out to you on your tablet, but you can see the message. I knew what it was. It was them telling me that unfortunately they couldn't call me. They couldn't call me because I was being shown driving. So I was like, okay. So at this time, by the time I picked the load up, it's like I only have like an hour left. It was under an hour, and I had to take it back to Charlotte. Now, I could not drop that load because it was a live load. It was a live unload. I couldn't take it there. Couldn't take it to Charlotte. So what I did was I took it back to the OC. But I wasn't rushing. because I knew I had time, but I knew I had just enough time. But when I got to the Charlotte gate, I had 8 minutes on my clock, my 14 hours, 8 minutes to get in, find a parking space, shut down, do my post trip, all of this. I knew I wasn't going to make it all the way, but I at least wanted to get in. Now, mind you, there was snow on the ground. There was snow. There was snow on the ground, because I remember this is where the accident happened. So I've set up the picture, right? So I'm pulling into the OC at the gate, and I'm running out of time. I got about 8 minutes left on my clock, and I pull in. I've made this turn dozens of times in training, and a couple of times, solo, just driving the truck around, and I made this turn like just dozens of times. I set up, it's a left turn. So I'm gonna try to paint the picture for you. If you've never been to the Charlotte Operating Center, to get into it in a truck, it's a separate gate for trucks and cars. To get into it with a truck, they have a gate that's set up on like it's not a big hill, but it's a little, maybe like a 10-foot, not even 10 foot. I mean, it's just a baby hill there, and you have to, if you're making a right, you have to somewhat do a button hook, somewhat. If you're making a left, you have to pull all the way forward to your nose of your trailer almost touches like the right side of the curb. Like if you're facing the gate, the right curb, you have to pull the nose of your trailer or the nose of your tractor to that if you're making a left turn, so you can cut it back to the left, right? Cut it back to the left, and then bring your trailer behind you, because there's not a lot of room there. So I'm making a left. I pull up, I'm looking out my window. I'm like, okay, I made this turn quite a few times. I pull up to my nose of my tractor is almost touching the curb, or parallel with the curb. And then I turn it back, I whip it back left. And while I'm whipping, I notice, it immediately hits me, I'm not gonna make it. And it just immediately hit me. I wasn't gonna make it. What had happened was I pulled up too far. And when I was making the left, my left steer tire went, it was still on the pavement, the road, or at least the pavement, but my right jumped the curb or the grass, and it went into the grass. Now, as soon as it did this, like, my heart kind of dropped, because it was just there for everyone to see. Like, the lot was full, so I don't know if anybody was awake, because it's about 11 o'clock, but the lot was full of trucks, and it was a little embarrassing. So what I did was I immediately tried to back up, but then I immediately thought, you're not supposed to do that. Half of my truck and trailer is in the road. Do not back into the road. Don't do it. That's one of the easiest ways to get fired. There's a few of them, but that's one of them. Just don't back into a road without someone to spot you there, guide traffic. So I couldn't do that. In front of me there was grass, of course, and there was this pole. It's a metal pole, and the security guard eventually told me that pole had been there for 15 years. Now, it's not funny, but I thought, I immediately just thought, that pole been there for 15 years. I've been at the company for 1 month and took that pole, I busted down. It only took 1 month of me being here to end that 15-year life of that pole. Didn't have no sign on it. The pole was just there. I don't know why, but it was there. and it was smack dab in the middle of my tractor path. So I couldn't back up. The only thing I could do was go forward. So that's what I did. I realized it was just a pole, and I hit the pole, bent the pole, laid the pole down. Eventually got straight. All I had to do was go forward, and it straightened itself, and I was let in. I went straight to the security guard, told him like, hey, I hit this pole. I didn't think too much about the grass. He said, I know. I seen it on the video. Wisconsin, which is the headquarters, they seen it too. I don't know if that was true, but you know, he said just go ahead and call accidents claims, and I did, and that's what led into that next day, me doing training all day. I had to do slow maneuvers all day, had to take training on the computer, because I did destroy that piece of grass, and that pole will never stand straight again. It might stand, but it will never be straight. But yeah, that's what happened on my first day. Now, I'm taking full responsibility. I just want to lay some information on you, so you don't let this happen to you. If you have training throughout the day, so my first day started with orientation for my truck. I got my truck. We did a truck orientation. That was about that started around about 9, ended around about 10. From there, I went inside, talked for about 30 minutes with my with one of the DTL fill-ins, and was told that I have to, you know, go eat lunch or hang out until 1 o'clock. When I would get some more training or orientation. That 1 o'clock meeting ended at 3. At 3:30, I was out the door. Now, don't let this happen to you. If you are, so I want you in. I'll also in one of these videos explain hours of service, but I'm just gonna let you know now. Whenever you go on duty, or you start driving, specifically when you go on, when you start driving, you can't edit driving. You can't edit driving time at all. It's just there. So when you start driving, your 14 hours start then. You can't change that. You can't edit that. It just starts, and it will continue clicking and tick, 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 tick until it drops down to 0. And then at that point, you can't do anything. You got to be off duty for 10 hours for it to refill back up. Now, when you do on duty, you can edit it if you didn't mean to do it, or you know, if you didn't have to be on duty or something like that, you can edit that off, and you know, it'll remove that, it'll reset the 14 if that's what it was. But so when I was in my truck driving orientation, I had already set in for the I had already started driving, so I couldn't edit that at all. So my 14 hours had started at 9:30. So by the time 3 o'clock rolled around and I had to do 111 miles, I didn't have that much time to begin with. And dices just, or the, what do you call it, dominoes just fell all the way to me hitting the pole, to me going 8 minutes over my 14 hours, and to me then the next day doing all the training. All that said, do not let this happen to you. Take care of your time. If you're the captain of your ship and the captain of your time, and if you feel like anything is going to happen to your ship, or anything will prevent your time to be anything other than you want it, then speak up and make the appropriate decision. You know, I'll just share that so you can, you know, try to avoid these mistakes that I make. That's why I post these videos, and I will post the mistakes, because it will only help other people. So with that being said, have a good night, good day, good morning, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you later.